are deep into the neck of the woods here with regards to the Paris Olympic 2024 Senior Men's National Basketball Tournament. And we're just gonna get right to the nitty gritty. Canada basketball making some noise. What are your thoughts, Jerome, on what Team Canada has done thus far in the group stages of the Olympics?
Well, I gotta say one thing about Canada. So far they've done the job. They've beaten all the teams that they should have in the group stage. They were really, really close against Spain. The high score was actually the same as the one of the World Cup when they played Spain, which is a little weird. But yeah, they did manage to beat all the teams that they played against, and they made it through the quarterfinals. I think they've put themselves in a pretty good spot where they don't have to play the U.S. in the semis or in the quarters, at least. And I think that the defense for them too has also been very good because, as I said in the last video, for them to get a win, they have to. What did I say? They have to hold it under 90. Every team they played, they held it under 90. Only Spain came closest to 85, and guess what happened? They were able to get the win. So I think everyone's looked good. RJ Barrett's looked really good. Andrew Nebhard had a really good game against Spain. Dylan Brooks has also shown up too, and SGA's obviously been there. I feel like Dwight Powell's also been good on the defensive end. You've even had Kem Birch starting to kind of, contribute some in some, crucial minutes and stuff, and I think that's very good, especially because they're going to be playing France, who has Wembanyama and Gobert, so they're playing a big team. Yeah, but I think so far, I would definitely give them an A+. Done everything they need.
So great take there. In my view, I feel like Team Canada, they've played fairly well in the sense that they've been winning their games, and they've been finding ways to win outside of just scoring the most points. To your point, they've played exceptionally well defensively, and they've managed for the most part to uh, adjust well to the FIBA system and the FIBA rules, and that's pretty big, especially considering there's about 10 NBA players on Team Canada's roster, so they're well adjusted for their profession in terms of their professional careers to NBA rules. So the fact that they were able to pivot and make that switch over to FIBA rules, the 40-minute games, the five fouls instead of six fouls, 40 minutes instead of 48 minutes. Definitely very meaningful on their part doing what they need to do. However, I think my biggest discrepancy when it comes to Team Canada, I think Team Canada operates within a very unique paradox because, on one hand, this is the deepest team talent-wise that Team Canada has ever had historically for any
Oh
Olympics.
yeah.
You know, uh, it's just an empirical fact at this point, right?
Easily. Yeah. I mean, like the last time we had it
hmm
was like two NBA players. So,
hmm
it's definitely a big. And remember, we left NBA players at home too.
hmm
So,
hmm
that's something else to think about as well. We left Wiggins, we left Edie.
hmm However, it gets a little tricky here because some of the things that I'm noticing is that this team is still very much and bear in mind with what I'm about to say here. There's still very much a top heavy team from what I've seen thus far from them in the Olympics, in the sense that it's always going to be the same handful of guys making an impact sufficiently in terms of like the numbers and points on the board. And while that was enough to get past the group stages, um, I think that moving forward as the competition gets stiffer, we're going to see more difficult situations present themselves for Team Canada. So the essence of what I'm saying is you're not going to see as much games like the game against Australia, where I feel like Team Canada, they handled that game fairly well. Australia had their moments, but Team Canada kind of showed why, they were the better team in that game. And
Right.
even the game against Greece, even though the first game against Greece was pretty close, Team
Yeah.
Canada was for the most part in control. But that game against Spain, and again, Spain, to my knowledge, they have like, of course, they have some fringe NBA guys in terms of like Hernan Gomez and stuff. Like he was
Garuba
in
as
the
well
league with
too.
that. Yeah, but ultimately, Spain is not exactly in their basketball renaissance by any stretch of the imagination on a national level. Nonetheless, they put up a spirited effort in that last game, and
Mhm.
it really shows because at the end of the day, it just kind of showed that when Team Canada is going to be faced with a system that is familiar with international basketball and enough of a talent pool within that system, it's going to actually create problems for Team Canada, I think, moving forward. Like, that game against Spain was a little too close for comfort, in my opinion.
I
Granted,
agree.
they were a team that's fighting for their lives with, and that reputation and everything, but, you know, I'll mention this like later on, but going up against some more of the competitive teams, and I I I just don't think that that bodes well. But nonetheless, again, just to reiterate, Shea just Alexander, he's been playing well. RJ Barrett's been playing well. Dylan Brooks has been playing well.
Very
Lou
good.
Dort's been doing his thing on the defensive end. Um, Jamal Murray could be a little better coming off the bench, in my opinion. He could do a little more. Gonna need a little more out of him. But nonetheless, uh, I'm content with what Team Canada has been able to do thus far, but I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't really worried, right? So that's my take on Team Canada.